The FIRE movement, or Financial Independence Retire Early movement, has had a huge influence over my life. And it really isn't about whether you retire early or not, but it's all about the options that it gives you in life. And even on the journey before you reach FI, it really does influence the way you think about and plan your life. Now, since I started with regular FIRE, there have been quite a few variations that have become a bit more popular these days. That's why in this video, I'll be talking about what those 4 variations of FIRE are. But more importantly, what kind of choices it opens up for you in life and how you plan to live it. Hey guys, it's Sun Min and welcome back to Your Money Game, the show where I'll save, invest and feel better about money. So let me start with regular FIRE and spend a little bit more time here because it forms the baseline for all the other FIREs as well. So the definition of regular FIRE is the point in which your investment pool reaches 25 times the annual desired lifestyle cost that you have. So it's at this point when you can technically retire. You can just quit your job, don't do anything, and live off 4% of withdrawals from that investment pool. Now let me elaborate on the 4 principles that really affect every form of FIRE movement. Firstly is to have a very good sense of your regular expenses. And this alone is really important because it helps you plan ahead and optimize your budget as you move ahead. The second principle is that you'll need to know your annual desired lifestyle cost. You need to dig really deep and ask yourself how much is really enough and what is this lifestyle that you really want to build, and of course, how much does it cost on an annual basis. The third principle is the ability to execute super well, where you are able to live in a disciplined way where your cost of living is really below your income that you earn on a regular basis. So that's why you can maximize your savings rate and hopefully reach whatever FIRE goal that you have faster. And the final principle is that you need to be investing this money to generate a return that's over 4%. It can't be just money that you're leaving in a savings account or maybe in some kind of bond instrument that's giving you 2-3% at most. That's why you see a lot of FIRE movement guys talk about investing in the S&P 500, where in general the US equities market has returned roughly 7-ish% over the extreme long term. And that's so important because you'll need the returns of your investments to cover the base 4% that you're going to withdraw from it, plus any additional inflation that might happen or likely will happen. So let's talk about some real numbers, at least with Singapore as an example. According to a small study done by the Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy, people in Singapore need roughly $1,300+ a month to survive on a basic need level. Now, I'm guessing for those of you watching this, that might sound on the low side. So let's bump this up a little bit to about $2,000. And this would make the annual lifestyle cost of roughly $24,000. And that would make your today's FIRE number roughly about 600,000 Sing dollars, and that's assuming you don't have any additional major debt to pay off. Now some of you might be thinking that $2,000, oh my god, that's totally not within my lifestyle cost. But relax, this is just for a point of discussion. So that's the simplified baseline of the first type of FIRE. The second type of FIRE is what we call Fat FIRE. Now everything from regular FIRE applies here as well, but over here you are planning for a much more comfortable and luxurious life. Let's face it, living a modest and frugal lifestyle really isn't for everybody. So if you wanted a fat FIRE, how fat should it be? And that answer is really personal, right? So everybody has their own idea of what comfort or luxury means. For the sake of discussion, let's bump up that 2,000 baseline and we triple it. So let's say your desired lifestyle cost is about $6,000 a month. Again, that's an assumption that you have no more major debt. Your annual lifestyle cost would therefore be $72,000, which would make your total FIRE number 1.8 million Sing dollars. So let's talk about the other extreme, which is lean FIRE, which is the third type of FIRE movement. The aim of lean FIRE is to retire as fast as possible, and it usually relies on 2 things, either really frugal living or maybe really aggressive investment assumptions, or a combination of both. So in theory, you could say, I want to be more aggressive in my investment assumptions, and therefore I live off 5% withdrawal rate rather than 4%. Now this changes the math quite a bit. So based on the old calculation, your 24,000 annual desired lifestyle cost needed to be multiplied by 25. But in this new scenario for Lean FIRE, you can just multiply it by 20. So your new FIRE number would therefore be $480,000 instead of $600,000, which is a huge amount of difference. Now the reason why this is definitely riskier is that it assumes you can generate a return that's higher than that 7 to 10%. Maybe you might be needing to do 8 to 12 or maybe even 9 to 13 on average. Now regardless of whether you want to budget leaner or make more aggressive investment assumptions, both are of course riskier because you have less of a buffer to tide you over if things go wrong. Now before I go on to the last FIRE movement, I hope that it's fired you up to hit that like button because that tells the gods of YouTube to share this video out with more people. Thanks. Now the last version of FIRE is actually a variation of two things, and it's either Toast FIRE or Barista FIRE. I've chosen to lump it together because these both things have something in common. It's usually when you reach a point that is either FIRE or very close to FIRE that you can kind of take your foot off the pedal and make some pretty aggressive changes to your career or income life. So for example, say you were chasing down that $600,000 FIRE number, and right now you're so close, you're about $500,000. Since you're so close, you're about 20% away, you could theoretically choose to coast at your current job, meaning you don't need to work extremely hard to chase that new promotion or get that increment or get that bonus. Or you could even quit that job and take on a much less stressful one, and maybe that involves you being a barista. So that's why they call it Toast FIRE or Barista FIRE. The point is, as long as whatever that job or role is covers your monthly expenditures, you technically don't need to withdraw any money from that investment pool, and you give it time to build up towards the actual FIRE number itself. So those are the 4 types of FIRE, and what I really love about them is that it opens up new ways of thinking. And here are the 3 ways that I think it really opens up new choices for you to consider in life. Firstly, you can choose to be as frugal as you want to be. Once you have that desired FIRE number in your head, you can really look at your current expenses and make that decision on where you want to make cuts or maybe even no cuts at all. There are a few schools of thought here. One group believes that it's really smart to go hard early on in life, where you are trying to save as much as possible when you don't have a lot of liabilities. And on top of that, you let time and compounding do its work. But of course, you have to sacrifice all those experiences and comforts that you might want to enjoy. The second group believes that, hey, you only live once and your youth is really precious, as well as all those experiences which really are priceless. You can't replace that kind of time in life. So why sacrifice too much when you know that you will likely earn more in the future? And of course, with all forms of extremes, there's probably going to be something in the middle that's more suitable for you. Some balance of, again, finding things that you really want to enjoy, you're not willing to sacrifice, but at the same time looking objectively at some other experiences and saying that, hey, I'm okay not having it. Or you might be in a fortunate situation where you can literally say, hey, frugality is not for me, that's not what I enjoy in life. And that's cool as long as you've got the income to make up for it and you can plan ahead towards that desired fat FIRE in your life. The second choice that opens up is whether or not you can or want to make aggressive career moves. If you're like me, after you've calculated your FIRE number, you'll likely be running through multiple scenarios in your head in terms of what you could possibly do from an income perspective. Maybe you're really young, you're really passionate about an idea, and you can decide that, hey, the only way for me to achieve fat FIRE is by building a business. There's no way a regular job is going to get me to that kind of lifestyle which I really want. Or maybe you're a little older, closer to FIRE, and you realize that you can afford to kick back from work and maybe even pursue a side hustle, create a side business, or whatever it is, or passion project that you really wanted to do. Or maybe you're a little bit more risk averse, or you don't have a really big passion or business idea that you want to get off the ground, and you decide that, hey, ghosting at my current job is the right move. Maybe the pay is good, but you're only semi-satisfied, but hey, not too bad, right? Or maybe the pay is really bad, but the place is fantastic. You enjoy the company that you're with, the people that you work with, your colleagues and all that. And then you're telling yourself that, I'm gonna reach FIRE eventually at some point in time, so it's okay to kind of take this lower paying job and be happier. And finally, you can choose to take on a little bit more risk and retire earlier. So if you're close to that FIRE number, you can already choose to pull that parachute and jump out, or maybe dial up that withdrawal rate a little bit and then manage it as you go along. Now, like I mentioned, this is of course riskier because FIRE relies on quite a few assumptions. Nevertheless, if you choose to take on that more risk, you can remind yourself that, hey, it's okay as long as you are willing to be flexible. If the investment returns don't go your way, or maybe there's an unexpected surge in cost of living, and it does happen, maybe you can be flexible and take on a part-time job or contract work just to make sure you get through that period okay. That flexibility also extends to other areas in your life. Maybe at that point of retirement, you can say, look, I don't want to live in Singapore anymore, and you can move out. And there are many other countries where you can achieve a pretty good lifestyle with a fraction of the cost. And that's an entire another area called geo-arbitrage, and I think that opens up even more choices for those of you who really are open to that idea and flexibility. And like I said, FIRE is all about choices. It's useful because it helps you plan. It helps you think about how you would want or could do things very differently in life. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope this provoked some kind of new thoughts about how you live, and if you've got value out of this, I would really appreciate your support in clicking that like, subscribe, as well as that bell button, because I'll be back again next Sunday with a brand new video. And until then, you take care and keep playing your own game.